Hello everyone, my name is Homero Arari and I am a student, Dr. Manuel Cifuentes, in the class 5 Statistics and SPSS. This is my challenge number 1 of my midterm, and the title of my presentation is going to be Measures of Central Tendency and the SPSS Environment. The presentation is going to be based on an explanation of these basic measures of central tendency, and then I'm going to make a quick example on SPSS, and then at the end we're going to have a short quiz, just an example of different interpretations of these measures of central tendency. Why the measures of central tendency are important? And first of all, we have to talk about that when we collect information, when we collect, we want to plot that information. We want to show it in a graph. We can do it mathematically, but we can, in this case, all the analysis is going to be based on graphics. So when we talk about measures of central tendency, we're thinking about the distribution, and we want to see how the observations collected through a survey, a questionnaire, are distributed. So for this, it's important to know the frequency in the distribution. And researchers mostly are looking for normal distributions because that will make our life easier. But unfortunately, real life has differences and is not as we expect. So for this, there are different interpretations. So what I'm showing here is a graph, and this is a normal distribution, and this is a histogram. Normally, frequency distributions, the way to represent frequency distribution is through the use of histograms. And what I'm showing here is a normal distribution, but it's not the typical graphic. This is not the pretty graphic that you normally can find in a book. And if I'm showing this, is because even though this is normal, there are other characteristics in the distribution that are also important to mention, and these are called deviations. So of course this doesn't look pretty, but this looks pretty, and this is a normal distribution defined in a book. So you can see the difference. This, the normal, the Gaussian bell follows all the points of the roof of these columns, and shows that this is a normal distribution. This is a perfect normal distribution. But as I showed before in the graph, not all there are normal distributions, but they have some slight characteristics. So these characteristics are called deviations, and there are two specific deviations that we should take care of. One of them is the skewness, and skewness is basically the lack of symmetry. And as we can see, we have two examples, and there are two ways of skewness, to the right and to the left. We do the analysis graphically. And when it's to the right, we see that all the values have been grouped to the left side of the plot. But we said right skew because the tail of this concentration is looking to the right. And if it is looking to the right, it is pointing to the positive side of the x-axis. So that would be a positive skew. In the opposite way, we can say that the left skew is our positive skew distribution, is where all the values are grouped at the right side of the distribution, and the tail is pointing to the negative side of the x value. So, and that would be a negative skew. So we know that right skew is positive skew and left skew is negative skew. This is really important to consider graphically and keep in mind, because later you will be doing this just with the numbers. So you have to remember, especially the signs. And the second deviation from normality is kurtosis. And kurtosis basically deals with the tails of the distribution. So we have here in the center the normal distribution, and we can see that the tails, both tails in this distribution, are smooth. But what happened when the tails are heavy and they are thick? Then we used to call that the kurtosis is leptokurtic. And the opposite, when the tails are light, we tend to say that it is platykurtic. So this is kurtosis, and this is another important deviation from normality. We should take, and we should consider this. So we're going to go to now. Finally, we're going to talk about the measures of central tendency. And as I said previously, we're going to talk just about mean, median, and mode. But that doesn't mean that there are no more. And in fact, there are more, and there are categories of central measures of central tendency. As you can see here, these are the mathematical expressions of these measures. And this is an important. Okay, so this is when we have the mean, and the mean in our lives in so many ways that we don't realize. I'm just going to mention some quick examples. For example, if you are a baseball fan, you care a lot about the average, the mean, because then you will base what player is good at bat, and so that's an important difference. And for example, also, how many goals do you get per you get per game, the average goal? That's also important to decide if you have to put your difference or you have to select a different goalie. So that's in sports, but also in real life and serious stuff, we can see that is also the per capita average, the income is also plotted, and this is the mapa mundi, and we can see in orange the countries that have a per capita income under the average in the world, and in blue we can see countries that have the per capita income is over the average income in the world. But what is the mean? When we have the mean, so it's also called arithmetic mean, or is average, and is one of the several measures of central tendency, and this is the expression, which is the sum of the values of the observations divided by the total number of observations, and it also can also be considered as a model. And we can see this later, and I'm not going to talk about this much, but this is a model can be represented by the outcome, and if the outcome equals the model, in this case will be the mean plus the error, and in this case will be the error that can be calculated from the standard error that can be calculated from the mean. This is the first part, and I wanna before I finish this first part, because I have to save it in two ways, and please see the second part of my presentation, is that as I said before, we are talking only about some of the measures of central tendency, and we know that there are three categories of measures of central tendency. So we are aware about that, and please, if you want more information about it, please look for it. In this presentation, you are not going to find such information, just the basics.